folks, we're going to get started here. I'm super excited about the opportunity to be with all of you today. If we haven't met, I'm Dave Rosendahl from Mindfire, and I get the honor of being your moderator today for what I hope is a very valuable 60 to 90 minutes that's going to answer the questions that you all have about the two new USPS promotions that are on the docket for 2027. And what we want to do, myself, Chris, and AJ, is give you an insider's peek into what's likely changing there and what's going to stay the same. Now, it's important to remember, everybody, that the finalized guidebooks from USPS haven't been released yet. So what we're doing is we're taking you inside the room in terms of what we know, what we're hearing directly from USPS, the information that we have, and what we share with you today is going to give you insight into currently where things stand. As soon as those guidebooks are released, AJ and Silvamo are going to be getting them out to all of you. So make sure you stay on our list, make sure you stay connected, because we're going to get those all out to you as soon as they're available, which should be towards the end of this month. Now, quick question before we go on, everybody. Who is here for the first time in one of these webinars? Drop a 1 in the chat. If this is your first time in one of these sessions with us, drop a 1 in the chat. Let me see all the ones. Holy cow, AJ, look at all the newbies that are here with us.
That's great to see.
Yeah, keep dropping those ones there, folks. This is a big investment of time and energy and resources that we put into the industry to help all of you, especially the first timers here, maximize your use of direct mail. And I believe this is the 11th event, AJ, that we've put on. Can't believe it's been 11 already. But if you're new to this community, what we're doing is we're investing in a number of different ways to help you maximize direct mail. If you look at the screen, we've got the Pressing Issues Resource Hub. I think my team's going to drop that link there in the chat. This is an area where Silvamo has brought together all of the resources, all the 11 events that we've done, and all of the valuable resources that Silvamo has made available there in the Pressing Issues Resource Hub. So, Carissa, if you can drop that there in the chat, I want to make sure that you all have those resources because they are going to be instrumental to helping you navigate not only the remainder of this year, but also what's ahead in 27. Now, without further ado, let me introduce our panel. First up, a man that I don't really think needs much of an introduction, but we've got Chris Lean, EVP of Industry Affairs at BCC Software and the chairman of the National Postal Forum. Now, when he's not on a cruise, which he does quite a bit,
Yes.
he is advocating for all of you, mail service providers, mail owners, brands, and industry, helping us navigate postal regulations and maximizing the incentives and the promotions that are available to us. Chris has a voice with USPS leadership, and Chris, as always, just thrilled to have you with us. Thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you, Dave. Thanks for the introduction, and I'm really looking forward to sharing what we know and hopefully, more importantly, what people are interested in as we continue to gear up for an exciting set of promotions for next year.
Awesome. You're going to hear from Chris here in just a moment, but also want to make sure you meet AJ. If you look at the screen, AJ is the reason why we're gathering here. AJ represents Silvamo and brings close to 20 years of experience in our industry, logistics, marketing, sales, and she is equally passionate about communicating the value of mail within the industry, both to the service providers and the mail owners, the brands directly. As I mentioned, this series is sponsored by Silvamo and is actually AJ's brainchild. So she's the one that we have to thank for all of this, bringing all of us together in these regular events. AJ, we really appreciate that. Thank you for bringing us all together. And how are you doing today?
Morning. So happy to be here, and it's really fun to see these ones, but it's even better, I think, to see all the people who have joined these in the past, and I do feel like we're creating this community. So please use the chat and network and make some friends. That's kind of what we're here for, to learn from each other.
Well, thank you again, AJ, to you and to Silvamo for pulling us together. We want to make sure, folks, that you get maximum value out of today. So if you missed this earlier, I want to make sure that you know that Kate Sanders is behind the scenes. She's with BCC, helping us answer questions and getting you the information that you need. So meet Kate, everybody. Say hello to Kate. She is behind the scenes there in the chat and in the Q&A. And as I mentioned Q&A, I want to make sure you're aware of this, that when you open up that little Q&A button, this is an area for you to add your questions and then upvote. Typically, when we bring the community together like this, there are hundreds, if not thousands of questions that come in. And it's often very helpful for us to see which ones are bubbling to the top. So take a moment. If you have a question, drop it in there or scan to see if your question has already been asked and give it that little upvote so it bubbles to the top. All right. Is everyone ready to get started? Give me a yes in the chat if you're ready to go. Give me a yes in the chat. Come on, guys. Let's go. Give me a yes. Who's ready? Who's going to be the first one? There we go. Here come the yeses.
There it is.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. So, Chris, before we get
Yes.
into the promotions that everybody's here to learn about, give us a quick pulse on the industry. I know there's a lot that's been happening in the last just few weeks, right? So take us through where we stand and some of the breaking news that folks might want to know here.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. So, and I'm sure I know a lot of familiar names and stuff are on the webinar here today, and they watch this stuff very closely as well. But to me, the very first thing that I want to talk about is the Senate committee hearing, the Homeland Security Government Accountability Committee oversight for the Senate. Now, PMG Steiner did testify in front of the House. He did that earlier in the summer, but he did testify in front of the Senate on June 24th. And I think what's important for people to understand with that, if you didn't watch that, you can take a look at the recording on it. I think it's very interesting to see the interplay, but you could clearly see the Senate's divided, no surprise there. Half the Senate is focused on financial stability of the Postal Service, and let's be honest, the Postal Service has financial issues right now. They lost $9 billion last year. It's been a continual problem for them, and the PMG was quite clear, right, in the House, and then reminded them again in the Senate that they'll provide whatever Postal Service the American public wants, right, for a universal service obligation, but somebody's got to pay for it. And we, on the postage rate payer side, the mail service providers, mail owners, and so forth, we've been bombarded with price changes, including the one that just happened recently I'll talk about. But there's no way you can raise prices on us to cover the cost. The Postal Service has to do a lot of self-help. And that was really the key message from half of the room, in the Senate, is that, look, you got to get your house in order. And in fact, the chairman of this committee, Senator Rand Paul, had 5 items that he laid out for the PMG to consider. And they include things you would expect, right? Things the PMG could do, the Postal Service could do, some things that Congress is going to have to give them the latitude to be able to do. But the second one out of that list of 5 is the one that I like to focus in on. Expand the public-private partnership, right? That's what we've been doing for the last several decades. That's what we need to continue to do. The industry working together with the Postal Service, we've demonstrated we need to lean into that, no pun intended, right? But we need to continue to focus on that part of it. The other side of the room in the Senate, if you will, really focus more on the executive order regarding election mail. And I want to be clear with our listeners, some of you already know this. In 1971, when Congress changed the post office into the United States Postal Service, they delegated the oversight to the executive branch of the government. Now, the legislative branch, Congress, owns the Postal Service. So I want you to think of it in that way. But the day-to-day operation and the oversight and running it falls under the executive branch. So we've got kind of a little bit of a play here. When the president, whomever is in the White House, when the president puts an executive order out asking the Postal Service to do something, they have to respond to that. So that's what that Federal Register notice was regarding election mail. There are some controversial points in there. I'm not going to get deep into it, but I will say that at least 2 of the points in that particular Federal Register notice and executive order, I think we can all agree, right? You want deliverable addresses. You want these ballots to be delivered in a timely, accurate manner. You want barcodes on these ballots, right? So that we can track it. So we've got visibility on that. So we need to find a way to move forward with some of those key points, because the industry has worked, again, back to that public-private partnership with the Postal Service to get that level of transparency and visibility. So I want, hopefully we can focus in on that, and maybe the other parts that are controversial on that are something that we're, just sort of go off to the side or whatever. We can't control that, folks, but we can definitely control address quality and mail tracking. On to the next topic. Postage rate increases. So we all know it, right? We saw the price increase that happened on July 12th. It was significant, and not just in the price. And I know a lot of people focus on that. I want to be clear. This was the most significant structural change for the Postal Service really since postal reclassification in the late 90s, right? 1996, 97, right in that time frame when the Postal Service sort of completely redesigned everything that was under PMG Marvin Runyon. And it was significant back then. This is the second largest one. And, there are parts of this price change in July that are still not finished with the software community. I know specifically BCC software, right? Heavy printed matter is something that the engineering team is still working on. And we're not alone, right? There are others that are working with that. In fact, even the Postal Service had issues with their Postal One system. So this was a pretty big change. And we on the software side have warned the Postal Service there with this state a perpetual update, something's gonna get missed, and we're not gonna be. This was part of it, folks. Now, related to this, the Postal Service recently requested that they would like the Postal Regulatory Commission to sort of give them a waiver and allow the Postal Service to do a January 2027 price increase. Now, that price increase, if approved by the PRC, would be for the density adder only, okay? And it would just be a price change. My understanding is there's really no structural changes intended with it. We'll probably hear more at MTAC, the Mailers Technical Advisory Committee, next week in Washington, D.C. at Postal Headquarters. But my understanding is really just the price change. Here's my opinion on this, for what it's worth. I'm actually in favor of this. I'm in favor of this, and I know you don't want more price increases, but here's why I think this is a good thing. The Postal Regulatory Commission said you can only do one price change a year. If this January price change, if approved, means that now we are going to just have January changes going forward for the next several years till 2030 or wherever that time period expires on that, that I think is what most in the industry are going to agree with, right? Changing prices in July, that's a pain. If we can get it back to a January cadence with that, then I think that's going to help the industry. I know you don't like the price increases. I get it. I don't either. But we need to get into that cadence so that we don't have mistakes and missteps like we saw in July. And then finally, kudos to our postal partners. They are trying to bring more data to the market. And they've collected a tremendous amount of data with their carriers. They're now able to provide, through APIs and other technology to the mailing industry, geocoding, for example, of the doorstop and the mailbox. They're able to provide occupancy trends, how people are moving throughout the country. They're able to provide where vacancy in housing areas that are need to be removed and so forth, right? They're going to kind of take those down. So tremendous data that goes beyond the mail, and that's what the Post Service is calling these data sets, that presents an opportunity for us on the industry to leverage this data and then show the new value of mail. And that's really what it's all about, folks. Improving address quality, helping them for targeted marketing, and that includes the N2A Plus product, for example. N2A Plus is something that the Postal Service tried to get filed to go out in July. There wasn't enough time for the Postal Regulatory Commission to understand that, so they refiled it with the hope that October 4th of this year, N2A Plus would go out. Now, the Postal Service was clear in their refiling, and I have to agree with them. N2A Plus is just another tool in the toolbox, right? Or the way I think of address quality is like you're healing the patient being the mailing list, right? So it's a new scalpel to surgically repair address quality in a mailing list and in the hands of physicians that understand how to use these scalpels. And I'm talking about the software and the data companies. We're going to look for a way to leverage the N2A Plus as an additional tool. So on an individual address basis, we can correct the addresses because we all want to reduce the undeliverable address mail and measure and track the value that mail provides as it's going out to the end recipient. So stay tuned on some of these new data sets. Stay tuned on your service provider to help you leverage these tools as part of their stack of solutions and technologies.
Chris, thank you for that update. Folks, there are no dumb questions here. Don't worry if something that Chris said doesn't make sense or you don't know the words or the terminology. Take a moment to put in chat if you have a question. That's what we're here for. Kate, the team, AJ, and my folks here, we're here to help you understand this stuff. So take a moment to drop your questions there in the chat. And while people are doing that, Chris, NPF, we just wrapped up not long ago. And I know that there is some very interesting data that's coming out of that that's giving you a sense for perhaps where the industry is headed. Share that with us here.
So, again, yes, the other hat, I wear many hats in the industry, but the other hat that I wear at times is I am the chairman of the board for the National Postal Forum. Folks, we had our board meeting last week in Washington, D.C. to look at all the details and the results of Phoenix. I could not be happier about MTF in Phoenix this year. I had a goal of 4,500 attendees. That's what I told Karen McCormick, the executive director. I said, that's a stretch goal, 4,500. Folks, we're over 5,039 total attendees. About 900 of those were postal employees. So that's over 4,000, right, from the industry side. And here's the best metric, 40% first timers. My goodness, 40% first timers attending the National Postal Forum. You know what that is? Those are new voices to add to our chorus of the mailing community. These are new people to wrap our arms around and help them get education. These are new brain cells, Dave, that we have to nourish and water and nurture to, to be able to be part of this. I am so thrilled. And then to make it even better, the exhibit hall, 213 exhibiting companies. People, that is the largest since the mid-90s. We haven't hit over 200 exhibitors in an MPF since the mid-90s. Huge. And again, the metric, 75 of them first-time exhibitors. When we think about growth in this industry, we often think about mail volume, the individual pieces. I don't think that's how we need to measure growth. I want to measure growth based on the increased value of the piece and the new people that are coming into this space, because it's different. Direct mail and what mail can do today is very different than what it was doing, 5, 10, certainly 20 years ago. So I think it's great that we've got new people coming in. 71% of the attendees, certainly all of them were in workshops, but they spent 3 hours or more in the exhibit hall, which is great because the exhibitors are, a key part of what makes MPF so great. But you can see the other numbers on the screen here. The key is this: if you didn't get a chance to go to MPF in Phoenix, please set your calendar, May 16th to the 19th in Orlando of next year. Orlando, right? We're going to go to Orlando at the Marriott World Center. It's gorgeous. I cannot wait to see it in November when we do a tour of the place. It is going to be huge, people. That's a great opportunity for you to get the education, the networking, and really connect with everything you need to do on the industry. So please, if you get a chance, attend. In the meantime, stay tuned. NPF is going to continue with our year-round education and engagement initiative. You'll hear more about that as we go forward. But I could not be happier with Phoenix, Dave.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that update, folks. Hopefully you see that there are signs of positivity in the industry. That's what we're here to bring you. Yes, it's challenging. We know it's hard. How many of you attended MPF, though, and got that boost of energy like Kelly did there? I think I saw Kelly attending. Actually, a first-timer. That's great to hear. Drop a 1 there in the chat if you were at MPF. Drop a 1 in the chat if you were at MPF. Give me the ones. It was amazing. Yes, it was nice. Amazing. Yeah, second trip there for James. Okay, perfect. Yeah, Chris, we've got a bunch of the MPF folks here. Thank you for giving us that feedback there in the chat. Now let's get into talking about the promotions. In order to do that, we want to kind of get a sense for who's in the room here and where you stand relative to the promotion. So I'm going to ask producer Carissa to roll the poll here, and we have a question for all of you. We want to know who's currently taking advantage of the 2026 promotions right now. And there are a couple of answer options there on the screen. The first is we're using them to their full extent. We're using them, but not to their full extent. We're not using them, but would like to in 2027. And we're not using them and not sure we plan to. All right, so take a moment to vote. I want to make sure we get a good sample size here. We've got dozens of you voting right now. Please keep it coming. And we will also share the results here in the room so you can kind of get a sense for where you are relative to your peers. Chris, what are you seeing here as folks are starting to vote? Can you see that?
I can see it. I'm not surprised. I know that more and more people are taking advantage of the promotions, but not enough, right? And what's key about doing these promotions, folks, is not just the opportunity to reduce their postage and help people see the power of direct mail and just mail in general that it can do today versus what it did in the past. But it's a way for us on the industry side to respond to the ideas that the Postal Service has been putting forward for these different types of promotions. And as a reminder, these promotions, when they come out, this is a collaborative event, a situation with the mailing industry. MTAC has a user group 8, that comes up with ideas on doing these different promotions. So my point is that as we do these promotions and participate, even if it's on a small level, it gives the data to determine the efficacy of the promotion so that the Postal Service can do more and do different things with that. It gives us that gravitas with the Postal Regulatory Commission to sign off on this. So
they're listening, Chris. They're listening.
They are listening.
They're dialed in here. They're listening here. We have them on the webinars often. They're listening. I'm going to leave it up for another few seconds here, Carissa. For those of you who say you're using them but not to their full extent, or not using them and not sure you plan to, for those last 3 categories, tell us in the chat. I'm just curious, why is that? Why is that? Help us understand that. Carissa, if you can bring it down in 4, 3, 2, 1, and then let's share it with the group here. It's interesting. We've got almost tied, I guess, 40,
Yeah.
39% for both. We're using them to their full extent, and we're using them, but not to their full extent. And then about 20% of you not using them, but would like to next year.
Right.
Again, give us the gift of a little feedback here in the chat, folks. If you're not using them, or if you're not maximizing them, why? Tell us there in the chat. That's always very useful for us to know. So before we get into the specifics for 27, let me set the stage for what these promotions are in case you are newer to them, okay? In case maybe this is your first time or you need a quick refresher on what they are. So these are postage discounts that USPS offers to mailers who use a specific format or a certain technology or a particular kind of messaging, where when you register in advance and then you report on using the qualifying mail that is under consideration, the discount gets applied. That's the core idea. Now, why does USPS do this? Well, here's the thing. They want to help us keep mail relevant, right? They want to help keep mail out in consideration as folks are looking at digital and other forms of marketing. They want to continue to keep mail relevant. So think of these promotions like a gentle nudge, right? They're pushing us towards new ideas, new formats, new technology that makes mail more engaging, more measurable, and honestly, even more effective, in comparison to digital channels. So that's the core idea. What's in it for you as we look at 2027 is a 3 to 40% discount on mail to test these new ideas, to use this new technology. And of course, what USPS is trying to do is get you to see that mail is effective and give you that little nudge. The way it works, and Chris is going to go into the details here, is that each year there are some base promotions and then there are add-ons. And we're going to talk a little bit about the difference between those two here in a moment, but the base promotions, and then you can add one or the other of the add-ons or both of them to that base promotion. So that's how they work at a high level. And if you look at the calendar here, as you're thinking about 2027 and where we are headed, this is the time to be planning ahead. Okay, so we've got about 6 months before some of these kick in here. That's why we're bringing this to you, so you can start thinking ahead around how it's going to impact what you're doing, whether you're a printer or a mail owner. So Chris, let's get into exactly what's on the table for 27.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to again add on one brief point to what you were talking about, Dave. So when we think at the mail service providers about cost avoided, right? That's what pre-sort discounts are all about. It's mail cost avoided. These promotions are not tied to the cost avoidance with the Postal Service. This is a mail loss avoidance, right? So we focus on mail cost avoidance. This is a mail loss avoidance. We are trying to showcase, right, with these promotions to the direct marketing community what they can do, and they include things that we've been working on. So a little bit of old, a little bit of new, right? Lots of opportunities for me and you. So integrated technology. This is all about taking advantage of emerging technology to be able to interact with that mail piece. Think of it, like with the Alexa devices and Amazon and Google and things like that, where I'm communicating in a digital manner with that based off of that piece's response. Tactile, sensory, interactive. We often call that TSI. How that piece touches you back, right? There's different ways and substrates that you can do that. And now there's going to be kind of a split discount that goes with it. First class mail advertising. We know that first class mail works. People open that because they trust it, right? If I can touch it, I can trust it. But in the case of first class mail advertising, I've got a better chance of seeing that, opening it. And now the Postal Service is going to expand what types of advertising you can do on that. And then you see the add-ons as well. The two new ones, and this is really what I want to hit on, direct mail discovery. This is absolutely targeted to you mail service providers. This is an opportunity to bring in more net new marketing mail volume. We'll go into more details on that, but this is our chance, mail service providers, to act as sort of sales agents to broadcast to the industry the value of mail. And as far as broadcasting goes and messaging, impact messaging, again, another new one. Can that mail piece be a vehicle to carry the message of the goodness of direct mail, the power of direct mail, the opportunities that direct mail has in front of you? So two new initiatives. These are all, or promotions, these are all, again, out of communications with the Postal Service on this. I'm excited with all of these, but those two in particular, this is our chance. This is a big opportunity for all of us in 2027, which is why we're doing this webinar now. You need to get started thinking about this so you build your pipeline, mail service providers, to go out and just hit the ground running early in 27.
So we're going to dive into those two here in just a moment, folks. Stay tuned for that. Chris, before we do that, though,
Yeah.
what's going away between 26 and 27? Talk about that just briefly.
Yeah, so there was a probably the biggest thing that people are going to miss is the I always say this the wrong thing, but like a kind of a continuous contact.
Continuous contact. Yeah.
Continuous contact, right? And, you know, there's another brand company that I want to be careful not to mention, but it sounds like right? Continuous contact. So that was a promotion based off of, you know, sort of a campaign approach with it.
Yep.
You know, we haven't seen the results on that from the Postal Service yet on where they kind of look at it, but I do know from an industry side, it was complicated. It was overly complicated.
Mm-hmm.
There was almost a disincentive to get started with it because you couldn't get the discount off of it. So I think there's some lessons learned on that one going forward. Like I said, we're tweaking some of these other ones along with it, and then there was another promotion that was specific to business reply mail. And I don't think the industry really took full advantage of that, or maybe it was just the way it was designed didn't work. Those are twos that we're probably not going to see. At least I think there's an opportunity for that you know, continuous contact thing to come back, but we got to look at the lessons learned on that.
We need to rethink it. Yeah.
Yeah. But in the meantime, these are all within your grasp. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I have been to many of the printing plants, right? BCC's got over 5,500 customers. I've been to many of their postal processing facilities. And I'm telling you, folks, I see the pieces of mail that you're producing that qualify for this. I see the pieces that arrive at my house that qualify for this. So you are leaving money on the table, honestly, if you don't take the time to get access to this. And BCC is going to be launching something we'll talk about soon that will help you to grasp the opportunity easier than before.
Yep. Who used continuous contact? I'm curious. Drop contact in the chat, just the one word contact. If you've used it, just curious to know who has used it. Now, AJ, I'm going to bring you on here for a moment before we get into those two new promotions. AJ, I know you and the team have been working to help educate the industry, as we've mentioned, in numerous ways. But you've got a promotional playbook, as you're calling it, that actually has physical creative that folks can look at and touch and feel. Tell us more about what you're doing here and how folks can get involved.
Yeah, so we are excited to launch today our 2027 toolkit. We understand these promotions create opportunity. You know, Chris always talks about the purpose of the piece, right? We also understand that it's hard to actually apply them, and it can feel overwhelming. So we developed this toolkit with real world examples and also provide some inspiration. So in the registration process, hopefully you guys provided your mailing address. So we will get those out to you guys probably early Q4 to make sure that you can use these with your team and your customers to inspire them to make some tweaks to their mail, to not only take advantage of the promotions, but again, to drive that higher engagement based on just the inspiration that we provide in the kit. It's really our goal, not just to be a supplier for the paper for your mail, but to be a strategic resource for you guys, which is why we are offering this. I don't know if you guys got the kit, this year's kit.
I got mine.
Yes, and hopefully it did help you guys kind of navigate the promotions, and look forward to sending these out to you for next year.
And what are we seeing here with this person here on the right-hand side, AJ?
Yeah, so something really fun we are gonna do on this year's kit. We have partnered with Infigo, and we are going to use AI to enable scannable personalization. So what we're going to do, anyone who registers for the kit will get an email in probably 30, 60 days, and ask if you want to upload your image. And once we get your image, we will use that to customize the cover of your kit. So your picture will be that rock star on the kit. So we want to make it memorable, but we also want to help educate you guys on how to customize, how to take that customization to the next level. So no longer is it just inserting your name. You can even insert a picture. So look for that email. We're excited to kind of play with this and learn this new technology to make each piece very unique.
Who wants a kit? Drop a yes in the chat if you want a kit. I'm going to show you how to get one here in just a second. I saw my friend Peter from down the street at ACG saying he wants one. Peter, I can't wait to see you on the cover of one of these. You are definitely a rock star, my man. So look at the screen here, folks. AJ, this is the landing page where we can go and sign up. Is that right?
Right. And I think Carissa is going to put the link in the chat here. And again, if you guys provided your mailing address in that registration process, you're registered. And then what we'll do is send you an email soon to ask for that image. You don't have to participate, but it'll be a cool way to customize your own piece.
I want to see you guys. I want to see you upload your headshots there. I'm going to do mine for sure. Carissa, you may want to drop that in a few times because the chat's going nuts here. It's going to fly by the screen. Grab that link, folks. AJ, we're sending that out as well afterwards, I take it? Yes? Okay,
Yep.
perfect.
It'll be in the follow-up email. So
Okay.
there'll be many opportunities to make sure you sign up for your kit.
So forward it to your sales executives, people. Forward it to your CSRs. Forward it to your leadership team. Forward it to the folks who are thinking creatively about how to bring mail value, how to pivot from thinking just about the volume of mail to going to the value of mail. And you want to get added to the list here, just give us your information and we'll get that out to you as soon as it's available. So Carissa, one more time, dropped it there in the chat for all of us. Now, all right, Chris, let's go from that high level overview that you gave of the two new promotions, and let's dive a little bit more deeply into the 5% opportunity we have here with impact messaging. Walk us through what this is.
Yeah, so what, and AJ mentioned one of my favorite phrases, right? What's the purpose of the piece?
Yeah.
Right. And we have to be reminded of that, right? It's not necessarily about the postage, on the piece. It's the purpose of the piece, right? Because people don't mail by accident. There's a purpose. There's a reason behind that. And the thought behind impact messaging is, can we leverage that piece of mail to add an additional purpose? In this case, the purpose is to remind the recipient that, hey, you know what? Mail works, right? And, we often talk about the different sensory involvement with pieces of mail, right? When I'm using my cell phone and I'm reading my email, right? It feels no different than playing Fruit Ninja or some other, or Candy Crusher or whatever you're
What
doing.
is that?
Yeah, I don't know. Fruit Ninja. I'm old. So,
Okay.
right. It's an old phone. No, so my point is that when you touch a mail piece, I've said before, it touches you back, right? It stimulates your haptic nerves, your optic nerves, your olfactory. You can smell it, you can hear it if it's multiple pages. In this case, can that piece of mail send a message promoting the value of direct mail? And I'm thinking specifically how powerful this could be for that B2B type of mailing situation, certainly for B2C as well, but B2B, where you're letting businesses know that this works. I always think, Dave, as I'm driving down the road, because yes, sometimes we don't do cruises, we do road trips too with my wife. But you see those billboards that are along the highway, and there's maybe it's ones for rent. It'll say like on there, hey, you looked at this, so obviously it's working.
Yep.
Same thing with piece of mail, right? Hey, you touched it, this is working. Okay. So that's the concept behind it. What qualifies, right? This is really, it's eligible for first class mail letters, and cards, and flats, plus marketing mail letters and flats. So wide opportunity, folks, wide opportunity. And it really comes down to just some messaging. Now, we need to get the clarity from the Postal Service and the guidebooks, because this is a pretty broad way that we could do this. But I love the concept. I love the concept of letting direct mail or any mail piece sort of speak on its behalf, right? Let the piece talk about the value of what it can do. Let it help remind people that, there's nothing like a physical piece of mail, right? And it creates an opportunity that transcends anything that digital only can do. That's why we continue to see the response rates grow. That's why we continue to see the ROI increase. And when digital and physical come together and create that phygital experience, man, it's amazing. So this is an opportunity for us to really leverage the mail piece as a sales agent for what direct mail can do.
Yeah, Chris, one of the things I'm thinking about here is for all the print service providers, all the marketing mail service providers here, to me, this is a big opportunity for self-promotional marketing, right?
It is.
Right? Tell us, what are your thoughts on that, Chris?
No, I agree. In
right?
fact, just to expand on that, Dave, when I think about what segments of the mailing industry, right, are some of these promotions aimed at? Printers. This is for you.
Yep.
Right? We have the ability to do variable messaging on mail pieces, right, to levels that unheard of before with new print technology. Printers, if you're printing the piece, this is your opportunity to shine. This is
Yep.
your opportunity to, again, improve the value of the mail piece. So if you're a printer, this is one that I really, really encourage you to take a look at the guidebook and find out how do you add this in to, to the solution suite that you're providing your customers, because you're on the front, you are able to do this. You have the ability.
Yeah, and in my mind, Chris, going back to your point earlier about USPS listening, to me,
Yeah,
this is coming out of industry saying, "Hey, we want to be able to promote mail, and this is a
yeah.
way to do that with a nudge towards promotion of mail." Right?
Absolutely, absolutely. You can showcase your print capabilities and add an impact message on it to get a 5% discount, or up to 7 if you use Savamo paper for the sustainability part of it,
Yep.
and do that informed delivery for the digital impression that goes along with it.
So AJ, you're going to have an impact messaging example in this kit that everyone signed up for.
Yeah. So like I mentioned before, inside the kit, we will have a real life example of each promotion. Again, use that to show your customers, to inspire your customers to make those changes. And this one is going to reward marketers for promoting direct mail. And we can help you lead that conversation. So this example is going to be on a 6x11 accent opaque heavyweight 100-pound smooth with indigo treatment. So it's a nice just printed sample on our accent opaque heavyweight option that you guys can use for your future postcards.
I see Chris Connor saying Dave hasn't played Fruit Ninja. No, he hasn't. I don't even know what that is, Connor.
Yeah,
But
no,
thank you for calling me out
Either,
there.
Dave.
All right, so that is impact messaging. Let's move to 40 and 5. This is one of my favorites here. 40 and 5. This is direct mail discovery. Chris, what is this all about?
Oh, this one, my socks roll up and down every time I think about how cool this is. So this is absolutely a promotion opportunity aimed specifically at you, small to medium-sized mail service providers, right? We know the big, large mailers, the Quads and Donnellys and the Data Mails, stuff like that. They've been doing these promotions for quite some time. They're very, very well, equipped, but they've got a team of people to do that. This is really an opportunity for you kind of smaller mailers to get people to come back to mail, sort of like a win back opportunity, or to generate net new mail volume. It's a 40% discount off of the postage. Think
Mm-hmm.
about that.
Say it again, Chris. How much?
40% discount off the postage, and the mail service provider gets a 5% credit to the e-doc submitter. That's the biggest credit to a mail service provider yet, right? And that was one
Yep.
of the big complaints that we'd had, right, with
Yep.
the postal service. We only got a half of 1% if we did informed delivery. That's okay. That wasn't enough to move the needle. This starts moving the needle, folks.
Mm-hmm.
And the 40%, my goodness, 40%, right? And you think, wait a minute, didn't you just say, Chris, the Postal Service has a financial problem? They do, but this is all about bringing people back in to see the power of direct mail. And you, as a mail service provider, you're on the front line. You are like a sales agent to talk about what can be done. So it's a great opportunity for marketing mail letter shaped pieces. So, relatively easy thing to do. Nearly all of you can do, marketing mail letters, right? Yes, it's for smaller volume mailings. As I said before, this is not really something that was designed for the big guys. They're already doing these promotions. This is to try and give something to that kind of that small and medium part of the mailing service provider community to bring somebody back in to try it, right? Come on back and try. Take a look at what direct mail can do
Yep.
today. So the
Yep.
discount's up for up to 5,000 pieces per mailing and 100,000 pieces total in that calendar year. So you could do up to 20, right? Different campaigns like that with it. Think of it in that way. Now, we can't game the system, and that's part of why the guidebooks are still being finalized and stuff. That's not the point on this. But what does it mean? It means you can go out to a customer that stopped mailing with you and
Yep.
say, hey, you know what? It's a different landscape. Let me come on back and let's try something. Let's do an A/B test on something. If you've got somebody that hasn't mailed before, maybe in your prospect list, reach out to them and say, hey, I got an opportunity for you for next year, right? Let's do a sample mailing. Let me show you what targeted direct mail can do for your business. And let's measure the efficacy of that, because we can do that now, right? We can do that and start changing the narrative, start changing the behavior. It's going to be a great opportunity. There's a decent sized window for this. You can register in February 5th, but that's why we want to talk about it now. Get your pipelines ready. Start thinking about how you can apply this. And once the guidebooks come out, Let's make sure we all understand the rules and regulations around it. But I'm excited about this, Dave. This is net new mail growth volume.
Yeah, totally. Double click a little bit on the new mailer definition as we understand it now, Chris. I'm sure there's a lot of questions about that.
Yeah, the
New
Postal
mailer.
Service will clarify that. What we've heard from them verbally is that it would be a CRID, right? A customer registration ID. It'd
Hmm.
be a CRID that has not mailed before, at least from the Postal Service's records and what they've got in their system, or one that has not mailed, excuse me, in the last 2 years. So
Yep.
if it's a CRID that hasn't mailed in the last 2 years, that's considered a new mailer because this is like a win back program. Okay. Or it's a CRID that has not mailed at all, as far as the Postal Service can tell. And so then it's absolutely a net new growth.
All right, folks, let us know what questions you have about this. I see, Kate, you're getting some kudos there from Ruben saying, very impressed with your knowledge. Kate is here behind the scenes. We are here looking at your questions here in the chat. Give us some feedback on direct mail discovery. Give me an X in the chat if you think you're going to use this. Give me an X in the chat if you think you're going to use direct mail discovery. I want to see that coming in here in the chat just to kind of get a real-time sense for look, we got a bunch of X's from Ruben. Okay, possible. All right. You know, one of the things that we want to know, given that this is a two-way conversation here, folks, is what else can we do to help? Much of what you're seeing today, not only from USPS, but also what you're going to see from Mindfire and Salvamo and BCC, comes out of you giving us feedback and us leaning, no pun intended again, Chris, but leaning back into giving you what you're asking for. As an example, when we were preparing for today, I threw an idea out to AJ, and I want to know what you think. I know that for some of the mid-sized print service providers, self-promotional marketing is not easy. You don't necessarily have a marketer on hand or somebody to design these campaigns. So one of the ideas that we threw out is, what if we gave you templated campaigns, some way to have a templated campaign, direct mail piece and the omni-channel stuff, whatever comes with it, that you can put your logo into and that you can customize and build, specifically for you. And then you use that to run the direct mail discovery and other things like that. To get the word out to your customers. Would that be something useful to you? Let us know there in the chat. And if you have any other ideas like that, please let us know. And we want to do what we can to help. Steve says, yes, it would. Yeah, just give us some feedback on that, folks. We're not saying we're doing it necessarily, but we want to know what else we can do to help. So AJ, in your kit, we're going to have an example of this as well, right?
We will. Yes. So one thing I did forget to mention, in addition to the kit, you will receive postcards throughout the year next year to remind you of these upcoming deadlines, a little before the deadlines, so you can help work with your customers to plan and take advantage. But yeah, inside our kit, we'll have a 5x7 card on our accent warm white 80-pound cover. And then the envelope is going to be made on our accent opaque 80-pound tag. So again, another real world example to show your customers. Honestly, this is my favorite promotion out there. I saw a comment from Rosette that said, she was going to let her sales team know. And I think that's exactly what you guys need to be doing, right? Go after those customers who might have stopped mailing with you guys and win back that business. This is a great opportunity to take advantage of that.
Kate or Carissa, I see a fantastic question from Todd. Can you text it to me so I don't lose track of that? I want to make sure we take that during the Q&A. Todd, thanks for taking the time to write your question out there. AJ, I noticed that folks are saying that a template would be helpful to them. Do you see all that in the chat? Yeah.
Yeah, we will follow up on that.
Yeah, one of the things that AJ told me when I threw out this idea, she was like, because I was telling her, look, I know that most printers are not good at marketing themselves, right? And AJ, I know you were like, oof, do we want to say that? But guys, we're friends here, right? That's what I know to be true. But if I'm wrong, let me know there in the chat. I think it would help many of you get out there and promote these promotions as well as the services that you offer. And if you had an easy way to get up and running, maybe it would help you get there faster. All right. Now, Chris, let's just briefly fly over the existing promotions that are going to be rolling forward into next year. And if there's any new updates in any of these areas, let us know what we should be paying attention to.
So on integrated technology, it's pretty much the same as what we've been doing before, but I want to underscore this is an easy one to get people. And when I think about, we talked about the printers taking advantage of the impact messaging, the direct mail discovery, the smaller mail service providers. This is one that's more towards the brand, right? And yes, Dave, my wife and I are seeing the world one Carnival cruise at a time, right? And so cruise cruise lines are great, or vacation spots and things like that for this type of technology. And yeah, the Postal Service will say, well, you could do like video and print technology, and you could do augmented reality. That costs a freaking fortune, right, to do that on a mail piece. You want an easy way to get into this? Put on the mail piece, hey, Alexa, tell me about a cruise opportunity with Carnival in September to the Bahamas, right? That would qualify. That's 5%,
Yep.
right? Something as simple like that. Or again, back to my antiquated phone that I have here, which I probably should upgrade. But a QR code that interacts, right, with a mobile shopping opportunity with it, or some of the artificial intelligence experiences, right, some of the AI capabilities. So
Yep.
this is another one where it's a very wide swath on opportunities with this. And yeah, the Postal Service sometimes talks about these really cool advanced stuff. Go for the easy stuff, folks. This is an easy way to get into it real quick and take advantage of that 5% discount.
Yeah, and that's why, Chris, I know you say when you walk around, shop floors, which I do as well. I mean, there's money sitting everywhere, right? I mean, there's
Everywhere.
opportunities, and
Absolutely.
folks just don't know about those opportunities. That's
Yeah.
what we're trying to help you do here. So, AJ,
Yep.
in the kit, you've got an example of this as well, right?
We do. We've got an 8.5 by 11 flat folded on our 100-pound accent, super smooth. Look, we know print and digital work better together, and this digital helps capture that interaction. And we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but the data that you get from a lot of these integrated technology options is so valuable to your
Yep.
brand owners. So we'll get into that in a second. But
Is that
this is
you
a
on the
great
front of the
example.
mailer, AJ?
I'm sorry?
Is that you on the front of the mailer there with the guitar?
No.
No?
Maybe I was
Awesome.
the inspiration there.
Yeah, there you go. That is very cool. I see you getting kudos in the chat there for Silvamo's work on these mailers. They look fantastic, AJ. Next up, we've got TSI, tactile, sensory, and interactive. And there's an update here. Chris, walk us through what the
Yeah.
update is for next year.
So what the Postal Service did on TSI is they've kind of bifurcated the discount into sort of two different groups. There's a 3% discount for sort of basic tactile aspects with a region of interest, spot gloss part of it, and then the 5% for something a little bit more involved, right? Interactive pieces where you're actually removing cards and doing different things with the piece. So there'll be more details in the guidebooks to be sure, but the Postal Service is trying to use TSI to sort of encourage, again, back to you printers, right? Let's spotlight some of the new things that we can do with that piece so that when people are touching it with their haptic nerves, they get a different type of response. So it's another way, again, to keep a discount out there, because I think TSI is great. A lot of people are using it, but sort of create that, put a stretch goal, right? Think of it like
Yep.
a stretch goal. If you can try some of this new emerging technology with TSI, you're going to get that 5%. If you're just going to stay with some of the simple stuff, that's where the 3% is.
Yep. And what example, AJ, do you have in the kit that touches the TSI element here?
Yeah, so this is my favorite example in the kit. We believe paper creates experiences that digital just can't, right? And this is a good example of that. So that the picture of the guy on the drums will pop out when you open the card, which is another way to just have that interactive experience with the postcard.
And I see Chris Lean as the model example here on this one, huh? Yeah.
That's right.
Well, I do like to play the drums, right? I thought the other one with AJ, she looked a little bit like Joni Mitchell on there. Okay, I dated myself again, but that's what I was gonna say.
All right, now we got first class mail advertising. Chris, updates here.
Yeah, so the big news, and this is big for first class mailers, is now an first class insert would qualify for this. That's huge. Okay. It was always on the onsert, stuff like that. Not everybody was able to take advantage of this. If you've got an inserter and you're doing first class mail, and I know you are, and you have that, this is your chance to shine. So again, it comes back to getting that advertising, getting that add-on, the additional insert, the buck slip, things like that you can put into that mail piece. And now you've unlocked the opportunity with a 5% discount for first class mail advertising. Love the fact that they've expanded this to inserts. So let's see what we can do creatively here, folks.
Yeah, that's big, Chris. I was just at a company last week or 2 weeks ago in visiting them, and they were lamenting that they couldn't use this, and it slipped my mind to say, well, that's coming in 2027. So folks, this is important. And AJ, I know you also have an example of this here in our kit.
Yeah, another example, delivery matters as much as the message, and that first class creates urgency and premium perception. So this letter is printed on our 70-pound accent smooth with the number 10 envelope. So again, just that real world example that your customers are probably sending every day, and little tweaks they can make to take advantage of that promotion.
Beautiful, beautiful. So those there are the 5 base promotions. And now, Chris, talk to us about the add-ons. In case somebody's hearing this for the first time, just again, remind us, what are the add-ons and how do they work?
Well, the add-on, Joe, first one is the informed delivery ad. This is accessible to pretty much everybody. I think the latest number was like over 70 million addresses in the United States have informed delivery now. With it, that's
80
significant.
million, Chris.
Is it
80
80 now?
million.
We're at
Yep.
80, Dave.
Yep.
It's continuing to grow rapidly with it. What a great way to be able to add a digital impression to go along with the mail piece. And what we found is not only do you get this additional 1% discount, right? So change a 5% to a 6% or 40% to 41%, right? Going back to that big opportunity. Change the whole paradigm of the physical and digital. They work better together. And this is your chance to do that phygital type of experience for your end customer. The open rate on informed delivery is unbelievable for it. It absolutely works. It's within your grasp and something you can easily add on to that with that. And then right along with it, sustainability, right? And
Yeah.
Dave, did you want me to touch on that or AJ?
No, I'll let AJ. Why don't you jump
Yeah.
in and tell us about the sustainability add-on and how Sylvamo is uniquely able to help folks here.
Yeah, so 1 in 3 pieces that go through the USPS are on our paper. So if you are not taking advantage of this sustainability add-on for those pieces of mail, you're leaving money on the table, like Chris said. So we'll all of our North American brands have been pre-approved for the add-on, and you can see our brands here: Accent, Hammermill, Postmark, Spring Hill, and Williamsburg. If you're not familiar with those brands, let me know. Shoot me a message and I can reach out. So at Sylvamo, we make all uncoated paper, and that is what those brands represent. So what we've done here is we have created a one pager to help you execute that sustainability add-on. It's a little tricky, but the one pager will walk you through step by step exactly what to do, with the service request number required, and then a QR code to get our SFI documentation. So we love this one. It's an easy one. So please let me know if you've got questions on how to execute.
Yeah, AJ, so many times I ask our clients, hey, do you use Sylvamo paper? And they're like, I have no idea. And then I walk their floor and I see your boxes and your stuff
Yeah.
everywhere, and they're already using it, right? Yeah.
Right. It's a no-brainer. So
So I
hopefully,
know you have a PDF to share on this.
yes,
Okay.
yes, I'll put a link to the PDF of this one pager in the chat here.
Okay. So that's one way Sylvamo's helping. Chris, I know we've got BCC Impact, big news here. How is BCC leaning into this?
So, again, kudos to Sylvamo on providing the kits and helping people to see what's possible with that from the physical part of it. One of the things that we heard loud and clear from the industry, in fact, I'm seeing in the chat as it comes across, it's sometimes a pain to work directly with the Postal Service, to go into their customer portal and, the business customer gateway, or to go into the promotions portal. And you know what? A lot of the information that you have to fill out to even enroll in some of these campaigns, it's already sitting in the pre-sort software that you're using today. So the thought was, hey, why don't we provide a solution that leverages all that data that you've already got, the mids, the crids, the stids, oh my, all that stuff, and get that into a data packet that can easily register for the promotions, track the service requests for the pieces to be approved, so you're not sitting there wondering, hey, when is this going to be approved, what's available on this, and to seamlessly, as easy as possible, enroll in the informed delivery. So we've been talking about this for a while. I'm thrilled that the Postal Service's promotion API is now available. Our goal is to try and continue to have both APIs, informed delivery and the promotion API, in one solution to make it easier for you to enroll in these promotions. We're expecting early August, so early next month, just a few weeks away, to have the BCC Impact product launch. We've got some beta testers that have been giving us some great feedback on this. And we're continuing to work with our postal partners, of course, to try and make this easier. It's a shared vision with the Postal Service. We want to make it easier for you to enroll, easier for you to measure the campaigns, and ultimately, we're going to get what we're doing with this impact into the pre-sort products itself. So we'll be adding that into the pre-sort products, and Kate Sanders is on here in the background, hopefully by sometime by the end of this year or early next year, so that as you're enrolling in these promotions, it's just going to get easier and easier and easier. If you attend our BCC information exchange in August, you'll actually see the impact tool, and we'll be able to talk more about it in person, but you will certainly be able to hear more about it and be able to see what the power is as we go forward in the coming weeks.
That's wonderful, Chris. Again, another response to the market saying, hey, we've got a challenge, and you step in, BCC steps in to help. Folks, if you want to learn more about the impact tool here, drop the word impact there in the chat, and we will make sure that we follow up with you. Just drop the word impact, and we'll make sure we get more information out to you. Now, in the spirit of investing in you and the community and making things easier for you, just the way BCC has and Sylvamo has as well, Sylvamo and Mindfire have joined to partner in what we're calling intelligent paper. So look at the screen here, folks. If you've heard about this before, there's an important update that we're offering now with intelligent paper, some new stuff that's coming your way. If you haven't heard about this, here's the core idea. Sylvamo and Mindfire are partnering to enable you to add the attribution and tracking in omni-channel technology, that's pearls, personalized QR codes, the AI talking mail, which I'm going to show you here in just a moment, so that whether you are a printer or a mail owner or a brand, you can start to get your direct mail and digital better together, as AJ said, working in an orchestrated fashion in an omni-channel campaign. And the basic idea is you're going to get dashboards and reports that show you how your campaign is performing. And the idea is simple. You print your direct mail on Sylvamo paper, and Sylvamo is subsidizing the Mindfire technology costs. They're basically paying for that. So very simply, the deal is this. You're printing your direct mail on Sylvamo paper. Sylvamo picks up the cost of the Mindfire technology that rides on top of it or around it. The exciting news that I have to make you all aware of today is that we realized that the old minimum, the 350,000 piece minimum that we'd unveiled earlier this year, you know, that's a high number for many of you, and it kept some of you out of the game. So today what we're announcing is that we're dropping that down to 50,000 pieces. So that means that if you have a customer, if you have an opportunity where 50,000 pieces or so, right, are the types of campaigns that you do for them, now what you can offer is an omni-channel campaign, as long as you're printing on the Sylvamo paper, and as long as you qualify and apply through the process we're going to talk to you about today, you have an opportunity to be able to do this. I see Lino saying great. I see others saying great. This is an exciting update for all of you. Now the limit is 50,000. We're going to bring that down, as I said here, and that opens that up to many more of you. Now, one more thing that I want to make sure you're aware of inside of intelligent paper. When we say that it's intelligent, that can mean many different things. One of the things it means now is that we're actually giving direct mail a voice, a literal audible voice. Chris, you always talk about mail being, you know, the thing that touches you back, that you can feel. Well, now you can hear it. And what I mean by that is that on the direct mail piece, there's a personalized QR code that when you scan as the recipient of that piece, it begins an audible conversation. The mail piece is actually speaking. Every one of those responses, every one of those conversations is an opportunity for you to drive that conversation forward to the next step. Whatever that piece is designed to do, whatever the purpose of that piece is, the engaging conversation moves the individual to the next step. The easiest way for me to show this to you is just to bring you inside a quick demo. I'm going to bring that up here on the screen. Take a look, and you'll see exactly what I mean here.
Think about when we typically send this mail piece, we drop it into the mailbox as the printer or as the brand sending the mail, and we kind of lose visibility from that point. What happens is as this piece makes its way through USPS, it's getting scanned an average of about 7 times with the barcode that's here. You all have done that for many years, right? But now we can start to use the scan of that barcode to activate marketing messages, an email, a text message, a ringless voicemail, again, reinforcing the brand as it makes its way to the consumer. When the consumer ultimately grabs that piece, what they're able to do now, I'm going to hold this up to the camera here, and I think we're going to have a close-up here. I pick up my phone, open up my camera app to scan it, and...
Oh, hello? Is this Dave?
Yes, it is. How are you?
Oh, yay. Hi, Dave. How goes it?
It goes pretty well. I just got this mail piece about this cool house here in Tennessee. Tell me more about it.
Oh, sure. Sure thing. The house you're talking about is at 530 Carysbrook Cove in Memphis, Tennessee. It's a single-story home in a quiet cove and has a lot of charm. It's got 5 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms.
You know what? I got a kid that's a swimmer. He's in junior guards right now. Does it have a pool by any chance?
Yes, it does. This place has a lovely in-ground pool, perfect for a swimmer or just for relaxing.
And I often work at home. Sorry to interrupt. That's how I am, you know. I often work at home. Is there a spot for my home office by chance?
Oh, for sure. So the house has a den and also a formal living room that could be a great spot for a home office. It's got a quiet vibe, so you can definitely get some work done there. Does that sound like it might suit your needs?
Yeah, it does. And I'm here with my friend Kim and Betsy, and we'd love to come out and take a look. How would we do that?
All right, let's make this easy. How about we set up a visit for Saturday morning around 10? If that works for you, I'll send a calendar invite so it's all set.
Ladies, does that work for you?
Yeah. Dan, I'm moving to Memphis.
Okay, we're moving to Memphis. Thank you so much for your time.
That's awesome. Moving to Memphis sounds like an exciting plan. If you have any more questions or need any help along the way, just let me know. Have a great day.
You're the best. Thank you.
All right, so folks, you get that? That's the mail talking back. This qualifies for many of the promotions that we talked about today. And the value here is, yes, it's cool technology, but the value is in the data. And if you look at the screen, the intelligent paper comes with the dashboard that you're seeing here that allows you to see how the mail is engaging the market, how people are responding to it, what kind of response rates you are creating, and the ROI of that mail. Is everyone getting this? Give me a yes in the chat there. Give me a yes if you're understanding what we're showing you here and the value of intelligent paper. Give me a yes. Okay, great. I see the yeses coming in. If you would like to learn more, I'm going to have Carissa bring up the poll here in just a moment. If you'd like to learn more, Carissa, go ahead and launch that poll there. Again, what we're looking at is 50,000 pieces printed on Silvamo paper, and you get this technology that's going to help you drive even more value from your mail. AJ, as people are responding there, tell me a little bit more about why Silvamo is investing in intelligent paper.
Yeah, so one other thing you forgot to mention is we do ask for the anonymized data that you get as part of the program. So we can write case studies and white papers on just the effectiveness of mail. We believe it, but to be able to have that data back it up is really the story we're trying to tell and educate our customers and your customers really that mail works, it's effective, and now we can truly calculate that ROI on mail.
Wonderful. AJ, thank you for reminding me of that. Of course, the idea of keeping mail relevant and sharing that data and sharing the success stories is going to help all of us. So thank you for investing in that, AJ, with Silvamo there. Let's leave it up for a few more seconds. If you're interested in learning more about this, look at the poll there on the screen. Give us a yes if you're interested, and we will follow up and talk to you more about this. I'm going to leave it up for a few more seconds. I still see the votes coming in. And if you have any questions about how this works, folks, put that in the chat. We're about to move into the Q&A. We have about 30 minutes officially left on the clock. I want to make sure that we have an opportunity to answer all of your questions. We've had some really, really good ones that have come in. Kate, again, thank you for answering the questions that they've come in real time. You've done a fantastic job. Carissa, give folks another 5 seconds here, and then let's shut this down here. Thank you for turning your attention there to the screen, folks. One more thing that Silvamo is doing, I'm going to make you aware of, and then we're going to go right into the Q&A. Silvamo is planting trees on your behalf. AJ, what's this all about?
Yeah, so for every person who registers for all of our webinars, we plant 5 trees with VeraTree. So currently we have planted around 5,600 trees, and we'll plant another 2,370 after today's webinar. So really, we're just turning industry conversation into measurable impacts with these trees. So just an added bonus for registering with us.
Where are these trees? Where in the world are they?
Well, I can put the link in the chat, but they're all in North America, depending on the need. And you can actually, through VeraTree, track the progress of the trees, the impact. So it's a pretty cool program to make a difference.
That's cool. I'm going to have to go visit my tree with my name on it sometime. All right, let's get to the questions here, folks. There's still so many of you here. I want to make sure that we get the top questions answered. Kate, you've been hammering through them in real time here, so thank you for answering all of them. I'm going to go to the question that I asked my team to pull aside here And I'm going to ask you, Chris. This was a really interesting question. Let me bring this up here on my side. This came in from one of the folks in the audience here, Chris, asking, what I'm trying to wrap my head around is that direct mail is close to 40 billion. I think he means in USPS revenue. This is coupled with a possible response rate of 1% to 2%. Direct mail often gets that kind of response rate. 85% of some of our flyers, though, go directly in the trash. With rising costs, no matter what promotional discounts you get, year-over-year cost increases of postage and all the other supplies are reaching nearly 15% a year. In a competing direct mail campaign world, having that, wow, this mailer feels great, looks great, smells great, sounds great now, right, comes with a cost. Print design, higher end graphics and design, et cetera. So with all that being said and understood, how do you see actual physical mail in the long term? Chris, where do you see the industry going in the long term here? You're muted, Chris. There we go. Oh, nope, not yet. And here he is. There
now
we
you
go.
can hear me, right? Can you
Yes,
hear me now?
yes. Yep.
Good. All right. So, so a couple things. So first of all, the response rates on that 1% to 2% you were talking about. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, right? I'm seeing response rates that are actually much higher with that. If you take a look and stuff, in fact, take a look at the USPS household mail diary that they do every year and stuff. You can take a look at that and see what they're saying the response rates are based off of certain demographics. I think it comes down to this. The opportunity to make direct mail more personable, more targeted, more opportunistic, if you will, right? Meaning that the piece arrives right at when that person is interested in it. That's the opportunity I see in front of us. The idea of just blasting out, a whole bunch of pieces into a particular area, yeah, I think those days are kind of gone. So I don't look at the volume of the mail. I look more at that increased value that's presenting. I also look at mail as the beginning of a conversation, right? It's the direct mail piece is the beginning of an interactive conversation. Conversation I could include additional pieces that are being sent out with that on the response. It could include digital communication with it. It could include a lot of things that you talk to where the piece talks back to you. That cool factor is beyond the charts, right? On that part of it. So my point is that I don't expect direct mail volume to, well, first of all, I don't think it's going to drop as precipitously as first class mail has. I think direct mail has a good chance to at least plateau or possibly even increase, but it's going to be very different. It's not going to be the way that we've seen it in the past. It's going to be very targeted, purposeful, personal, right? And I think as digital fatigue continues, which is real, right? Direct marketers are going to come back and say, I think there's an opportunity for me to add this back into the mix, but this time with direct mail, I'm going to do it a little bit smarter than I did before. Yep. And that's our opportunity, folks. Show them what the power is today.
Yep. AJ, how do you view the industry there from within Sylvamo relative to direct mail and where the industry's headed?
Well, I mean, we believe in the power of paper. We're willing to make this investment with our intelligent paper program. So I think it's more about now generating that data and then using that data to improve the purpose of the piece, just like Chris said. So we're gonna be around. Sylvamo is going to be around for the long haul to support the direct mail industry for a long time.
Chris, question for Mike. Can we get a quick reminder of what the new data services that NCOA Plus offers or adds to the mix?
So right now, change of address processing is primarily done through the NCOA Link product, which means that you're sending a list of names and addresses to a licensee, BCC, for example. We run that whole list against the NCOA data, and then we send you the list back, right? Mm-hmm. And that's worked great for the last 20 years or more. What NCOA Plus does is it allows us now to do on an individual, one record at a time approach. So I can send a single record in to the Postal Service API and then have the results come back. It also means that I don't need to have a process acknowledgement form when I use the NCOA Plus. I will still need a path, if you will, for the traditional NCOA Link process. But the NCOA Plus gives me a new tool in the tool bag. I can query individual addresses without having that path oversight. I can query individual addresses for business, family, and individuals to see what is the proper match on that. I can use NCOA Plus in a number of different ways. I think a chain moves, for example, or to validate a proprietary change of address to see if that's working with it. So it's a neat tool in the tool bag. It gives us the ability on the licensee side, ability to do a lot of different things. Yes, there are concerns with the licensees that, the mail service providers and mail owners could license usage of NCOA Plus directly with the Postal Service. That's certainly a possibility that exists today with the end user mailer NCOA link option. So you'll have to look and see what the pricing makes sense to you. I think if you're doing anything over, because you're billed monthly with the Postal Service, it ends up being very quickly way more expensive to try and do that. Plus you have to integrate it and so forth. So NCOA Plus, look for that to be leveraged in the mix of data quality solutions and services as we go forward with these. We're actively testing, in fact, the API with the Postal Service. And so I welcome the opportunity to use it. I'm not worried about the industry trying to do NCOA Plus alone for the same reason I said. It's like a scalpel in the hands of a surgeon. We'll make sure that we're able to work and help heal the patient.
AJ, I'm going to come to you next with this question. I'd love to get your thoughts on this, and then Chris, over to you on the same. Ruben is asking AJ that, or saying that the incentives are great if you're already buying mail or you understand why you should be using mail. But are we, I think we mean as an industry, are we missing mailing basics 101 with new businesses thinking about using mail if we're only talking about volume? AJ, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think we might have found our next webinar topic. It could be a good idea to really dive into some of those basics and just help educate on that. So we could address that maybe in a future webinar.
Interesting. Ruben, are you still here? Let us know in the chat. And for the rest of you who are thinking similarly, one of the things, AJ, that we've done before with these webinars is make available, let's say to the dot, which is where Ruben is, right? A webinar registration link. Folks, listen up. Tell me if this would be helpful to you. A webinar registration link to, let's say, that Direct Mail 101 series that AJ is talking about, where you send that out to your clients and to your customers and prospects. And anybody who registers through that link, we're going to send that lead back over to you, send that information back over to you. But what it would enable you to do is get a professionally produced event like this one today out to your clients, out to your prospects, and provide them that education. If we did something like that for you, would that be useful? Ruben, would that help you? Would that help you and the rest of you who are here? Chris, what do you think? How are we missing a Direct Mail 101 kind of initiative out there in the industry?
Yeah, I think we are, Dave. And again, back to the NPF statistics I shared with you, 40% of the 5,039 people that attended were first-time attenders to NPF. I assume that means they're also new to the mailing industry. So there's an opportunity to educate and connect those people. Certainly, we're going to continue to do that with the National Postal Forum. That's what we are. We're a 501c3, meaning we're an education nonprofit for the good of the entire mailing industry. Webinars like this are great tools because people can watch them as a recording and learn a little bit more. And as I mentioned before, keep an eye out for delivered from the National Postal Forum, right? We want year-round education and engagement. Last week at the board meeting, we talked about, sort of our next 1 to 5 year strategy plan and doing education with a certification goal for the recipients is one of the key strategies that we're going to be looking to do as we work with companies like Silvamo and Mindfire, as we work with industry associations, as we work with the postal customer councils, right? So NPF wants to be able to be that education provider that helps the entire mailing industry because we all need that. It's changing rapidly. We need to stay on top of it. The technology is changing. The Postal Service is changing. The opportunity, though, continues to grow, and we want to focus on that.
Yeah, Ruben, it looks like there are others who agree. Obviously, Larry is saying it would be interesting. I think he's referring to the webinar idea here, AJ, to help drive sales and mail for new potential customers and expand with current customers. Larry, totally agree. There was another point here from Stephanie. It says it also gives us the opportunity to let our customers inform themselves and may answer questions that they don't even know they have until after they watch the event. So it sounds like there's definitely some interest there. Ruben says, thank you. I have felt so alone for so long. Ruben, you're not alone, my man. I'm right down the street from you. I'm always here.
We're all in this together. We're all in this together.
When you talk about the new brain cells, I'm thinking back to, I don't know if Mike Robinson is still here in the audience with us, Summit Direct Mail, fantastic, longtime partner, great company. And we were at a trade show together. And I remember that as somebody walked into his booth, it was a younger marketing manager. And we were talking to her about direct mail, and she had this quizzical look on her face, like, what are you talking about? What is mail? And I was shocked. She hadn't really ever considered, this is a mid-level marketing manager in a large organization, that direct mail is a viable channel in today's day and age.
Right.
And her analogy was, is that like printing an email and then delivering it by hand to someone? That was how she was thinking about mail.
Yeah.
It just blew my mind. But it is a reminder, I think, to all of us here that there's a whole new generation of brain cells that we not only need in the industry, but that we also need to educate to the value of mail. Chris, agree?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, there's a perception issue here, right? And that's why it's on us, right, as a mailing community, to be able to help make sure people understand that. Mail absolutely is critical. It's a critical communication. There's a lot of value with it. And by the way, when I look globally, right, when I look at other postal authorities, other countries, stuff like that, there is no other country like the United States in regards to physical delivery of the mail. That's why, over 47% of all the volume of mail in the world is right here in the United States.
Yep.
Why? Because it works, right? It's foundational. Okay. We wouldn't have a United States of America without the Postal Service. That's what helped, bind the nation early back in the day with the continent, the little states and stuff like that, as they were trying to go forward with it. So mail's not dead. Mail is changing. It's enhancing. It's getting better and better. And these promotions are what are going to help us to promote the value of mail. That's what they're all about, right? So we have to lean in on that, pun intended, to take full advantage of these so we can change the perception.
Yeah, the other thing I come across often, and AJ, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this as well, is that when I'm speaking to printers that have, put ink on paper for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, sometimes 100 years, right? Their sales team is used to competing sometimes on the price of the piece, on half a penny less, half a penny more. That's kind of the world they've lived in because they're talking to procurement or the print buyer within that organization. When we start talking about the stuff that we're talking about today, like the talking mail and the intelligent paper and these promotions, one of the challenges that I see is that the sales team has to learn, AJ, to speak the language of value. It's a different conversation. And usually the conversation is with a different part of the customer's organization. It's marketing, it's the VP of marketing. And in that gap there, though, there is an opportunity, I think, to lean into educating the printer and their sales team. I saw somebody mention this in the comments. And I think that there's an opportunity as well, AJ, for us to lean in and help the market. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, 100% agree. And I feel like that's really where Silvamo adds a lot of value. So again, if you don't know your Silvamo rep, let me know and I can get you connected. But we try to come in and change that conversation from what's the price of your paper to how can we be a strategic partner? How can we help you learn about the promotions, learn about the value of mail, and just really change that conversation. And when we get to the right person, like you mentioned, it really adds value to the conversation and just helps grow that partnership. So we can help your teams with that, and we can help educate your sales team on that.
Larry is saying maybe USPS should educate their own as well. But yes, we all need it. We all need it, right?
Yes.
There's none of us here that I think says that we know everything. We definitely all have stuff to learn. Thank you for that. I see that somebody's saying that mail research has shown that the 15 to 25-year-olds love getting mail. AJ, I know you and we both have young kids, and I can tell you that my children love getting mail. The ability to hold it, and they sometimes fight over the Target catalog as an example. Do you see that with your kids as well?
I do. I do make my kids write thank you notes too. They don't love it, but I'm hoping that they will learn to appreciate it in the future because I love to get a handwritten note.
That's nice. I'm going to make a mental note, send you a handwritten note, AJ.
That's right.
Larry saying
I
thank
like
you for this.
personalized stationery too.
Oh, yeah.
Larry saying thank you. This is my first webinar with Silvamo and this team. Larry, thank you for being here with us. Much more educational than I expected. Thank you again. Larry, what stood out to you? I know you're saying it's more educational, but love to hear, just kind of like what is the aha moment that you had? And for the rest of you who are still here as well, what was your main takeaway from the event today? What was something that stood out to you that maybe you underlined on your notes there or in your notes that you're going to take back to the office or take into a meeting and say, hey, you know what I heard on Silvamo's webinar today? Take a moment. Let us know there in the chat. We always like knowing what stands out to you. Chris, I see you. You've got a thought here. What would you like to share with us?
You know, because I was looking at some of the different questions, and Kate's a rock star, right? I mean,
She
she's
is.
answering all these
Yeah.
questions so rapidly. She's phenomenal. One of the questions that came up, and maybe it was just kind of one thing, but I want to clarify it. So there are some that are concerned that, you know, as people are using these promotions, it somehow gives the Postal Service additional pricing latitude in the future to be able to raise their prices beyond the normal CPI levels and things like that. So I want to be clear on something. With a discount as big as 40% that we talked about for direct mail discovery, that discount does not, I want to underscore that, does not calculate into the Postal Service getting additional pricing authority. So there are some other ways that the Postal Service gets sort of this additional, you know, cap math and stuff like that. But I have heard directly from the Postal Service. We talked about that at MTech and other elsewhere. That particular promotion, it's not going to affect anything on that in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So please do take advantage of these promotions. And once you start doing them, you're going to continue to build on them. It's going to be a great way for you to showcase what you can do. And again, change that narrative, change the perspective to the industry and to the public on what direct mail can do today.
Karen, thank you for the kind words. Karen has to run. I'm sure some of you have to run as well. We're going to stay another 10 minutes or so and keep answering questions. Peter from down the street here saying the Silvamo direct mail kit is what stood out. So many good ideas. Yeah. Peter, I know you have a lot of ideas as well. Share those ideas with us here, with AJ. And I think you're hearing it loud and clear that, you know, this group is making an investment in trying to help you and your sales team. I know you've got, what, 40, 50 salespeople now to oversee. How do we help you sell more? That's our goal here. AJ, what are you seeing here in the chat that stands out to you?
Well, I think this slide is important, and I encourage everybody to, and we'll put the link out here, but save this to your favorites. I've seen some questions out there and some comments. One was on, they take advantage of the promotions, but not the mail growth incentive. And that was actually our last webinar. And I think if you go back and watch it, you will see that it's actually easier than you think. We had a customer on there, and she talked about how she saved over 15 million over the past 2 years. And so please go watch these. We also have another one that really kind of shows the tactical ways to execute these promotions kind of step by step through the BCG portal. So if you're still just like, where do I start? Go watch that webinar and it will literally walk you through screen by screen with some of our USPS friends to kind of show you exactly how to execute these. So use this as a resource. Our deck for each webinar is out there, and any other resources. So please take advantage of that.
I see. Wow, they're still coming in here quickly. I see Mary saying the kit is such a great idea and tool. Being able to see examples, I love seeing it, and holding physical mail pieces. Yes, that's why Silvamo is doing this. Folks, I just special for you, the folks that stuck around here. I dropped in my cell phone there into the chat. Text me anytime. That's really my phone number there. Text me with questions, ideas, inspiration. If you need support, encouragement, whatever you need, resources, text us there. Text me there, and I'll lean in and help you. Stephanie is saying, the direct mail discovery really stands out to me. Using the BMEU is great, but some pieces of marketing material could go out faster and stand out more with those that don't want to use the bulk mail indicia. Thank you, Stephanie, for that. Yeah, Elise is saying, thank you so much for sharing all this info and details on the USPS promotions. Chris, Dave, AJ, and of course, Carissa behind the scenes, and Kate, who's been doing a great job. Melissa says, hey, this is Kate. Having a team like Dave, AJ, and Chris to give us the information about what is coming is always helpful. Trying to navigate all the jargon can be overwhelming, and I love how this group makes it understandable.
Oh, thanks.
AJ, we have to thank you for really pulling us together here. Thank you for that. And Kate, if we used any language that was jargony or too obtuse, please let us know in the chat. We'd love to help clarify that. But Chris, that's what we like to hear, right?
That's exactly what we want to hear. Glad that everyone's finding value in the webinar.
And my watch has been going crazy. I think we're up to 80 submissions for the kit.
Oh, awesome.
That's yeah.
Oh, sweet. Drop it in one more time, Carissa. Let's get her to 100. John is saying great information. You're welcome. Jennifer says, bam. Steve says, thank you, Dave, AJ, and Chris. If you want a recording, folks, let us know in the chat there. Drop the word recording if you want us to get this out to you. We'll make sure we get that over to you. Just let us know. And Chris has dropped that link there again for the mail kit. Thank you, Carissa. Now that's scrolled pass my screen here too
And the
quickly.
recording will be in the follow-up email.
Perfect.
As well.
Yeah.
When does that come out?
Probably Monday.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Chris, where are you and I going to be next week?
We are going to be in Washington, D.C. next week for the Mailers Technical Advisory Committee meetings with the U.S. Postal Service. MTAC has been around for, well, since before the Postal Service, right? It's one of those trivia questions. And but next week is going to be key because we're going to talk about the July price change. We're going to talk about the promotions, in the guidebooks, and here more specific. We're going to talk about ways that mail can continue to expand, and more importantly, also how we as a community can help the Postal Service control some of their costs so that they are in a position the next time the PMG sits and goes in front of Congress to be able to report some progress so that Congress feels that they're ready to do some action.
Timothy, that mail kit, if you go to that URL, give us your address there. We'll make sure we get it out to you, Timothy. Stephanie says, I'm super excited about getting this kit. That is awesome. Thank you, Stephanie. We're excited to get it out to you. And again, like I said, folks, ideas. We want to keep this as a conversation that continues to ebb and flow and brings you the value that you need. So I've thrown my cell phone number in there again. You know how to reach AJ. AJ, do you want to drop your email there in the chat just in case people want that? Chris as well. Kate, I'm sure you've got some fans here too. Drop your email in there. We'll make sure that we get connected here. I'm going to hold this for another 4 or 5 minutes here, folks. Did I miss any important questions? Kate, I don't know if you want to come on and let us know what your read of the chat and the Q&A was. Kate, if you're able to. I know I'm putting you on the spot. I won't do it to you, Carissa. Don't worry. There's Kate.
I think the biggest thing that really stuck out to me towards the end is educating sales teams and having them be able to speak intelligently to these USPS promotions and really how to sell people on them. Okay. And that's another thing we're really working on with Impact is giving folks the tools and the power to take that into their own hands so they can feel confident when they're talking about these things with their customers. So that one really stuck out to me for sure.
Yeah, Chris Lean, if you don't mind, without spilling the beans, that is something that we are working on, to try to take nationwide. Anything you want to share there?
Well, it's still in early planning stages, Dave, right? Because we have to figure out how do we execute that in concert with our postal partners, right? Because we want to make sure that we're doing a consistent message. But we absolutely hear you and see the same problem, right? Those of you who are on the webinar here today, you're probably not the front line with the sales for your company. We have to find a way to be able and equip them, right? But do it in a way that you can make it your own, because each of you are unique. You got unique customers and equipment and locations around the country. So the idea would be able to provide sort of a base kit that you can now expand on to differentiate and make your own, so that now you're able to talk about the story of direct mail from your perspective.
Kate, don't think you can get away that quickly. Come back.
All right, I'm back.
Here you come. There you are. Yeah. So, okay, that was one thing you saw. What else did you see in the chat or in the Q&A?
I think as well as educating sales teams, the understanding the importance of direct mail and how to now communicate that in this digital world where, emails and push notifications via Instagram, whatever it may be, are so much cheaper, and really understanding still the value that direct mail drives, and it lives in its own silo. It's not inundated with all of the digital noise, and really honing in on making sure you're mailing the right people at the right time and using data services to understand who you're mailing to actually attribute that lift to your direct mail campaigns. I know Chris says this all the time, but gone are the days of spray and pray, right? Yeah. So you really have to be specific and smart with who you're mailing to and when. And I think that's a big shift we're going to start to see in the industry, where it's no longer just about volume and hitting every single house on a street, but hitting the right houses that actually might convert.
Chris, you always talk about don't mail to dead people, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You're not going to get a response rate. And if you do, I'd like to know what that piece looked like, right? You woke the dead. That'd be great.
And the other thing I know that you recently told me, to the spirit of, we are all learning together here, is that you picked up another cohort of people that we should not be mailing to. Do you remember what you shared with me there?
Yeah. So it was a nursing home, basically. It was I'm trying to remember what they called it. But it was suppression. When we talk about, we often talk about, you're mailing out, but it's who you should not be mailing to, right? Is a large part of it. And that's important, folks. I know for a mail service provider, you think, why would I take pieces of mail out? I get paid per piece. you need to change the narrative. You need to talk about the response rate, the overall ROI, the efficacy of that. And why would you mail, pieces about healthcare and Medicaid and stuff like that to people that are in nursing homes, right? I guess I think it was like a nursing list or something like that. But there are many, many different ways to fix that. And by the way, again, back to the MSPs, and I think a question earlier on with that, as budgets are getting constrained because of the price of postage, mail service provider, you have access to data now that will help you better target your customers and remove those addresses that you should not be mailing to. You're not going to get a response rate out of that. And if you take that stuff out, that is truly the junk in the mail, then you're going to get a higher response rate and a better overall return on investment. And that's where we want to change that narrative.
Mike Pluff. Hey, Mike, it's good to see you. Says feedback. The concept of BCC offering an incentive module, I think you're talking about BCC Impact there, as part of their core architecture is very interesting. And I believe ultimately a very wise decision. Kate, that's all you there. Let's get that to market. Chris, thank you for supporting that. Stephanie is saying, plus you want your customers to return to you and mail things out. Having a great list and ROI brings you returning clients. It's better in the long term. Yes, absolutely. All right, folks. Well, I know we're right at our time here. AJ, Chris, Kate have all dropped their contact info there in the chat. You know where to reach us. Thank you all for being here today. I appreciate everyone who spent their time with us today. If you have any other questions, please let us know. And AJ, as you said, the follow-up is going out likely Monday, correct?
Right.
Okay. One more time, Carissa, keeping you on your toes. Drop that link in there if you want to get that mail kit. I saw a few others asking for it.
We're at 100 now.
Oh, we are?
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. There we go. Let's get 101. Come on, guys. Direct mail 101 here. AJ, are you okay if folks send this to their staff, their employees?
Yeah, absolutely. Send the link out. We want to educate and inspire as many people as possible.
Awesome. And are you going to get the direct mail discovery postage discount on these mailers?
Yeah, we should. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you, Melissa, for those kind words. We appreciate all of you. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Please let us know how else we can help, what else we can do to bring more of this energy and this excitement and this education around direct mail. We're all in, and I hope you all have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you all very soon. Talk to you later, but bye-bye.